Hi, welcome to Quick Business Tips. I'm Jennifer Swineford, founder of Limitless Impact Agency, and this is the podcast for service-based business owners who want to grow their business without losing the heart behind it. Every week, I'm bringing you real practical strategies on marketing, sales, and customer experience. No fluff, no hustle culture nonsense, just what works. So let's get into it. I want to tell you about something that I do so often, I stopped noticing it a long time ago. It's super simple. I stay in touch with my past clients. And I don't do this in a big, structured campaign kind of way. I just check in. I send a note when something makes me think of them. I share something useful when I see something that I think they'd enjoy. And I ask them how things are going. And turns out it generates a lot of business for me. These are referrals I didn't ask for, new projects from clients I thought that we were done with our business side of the relationship, and introductions to people that I would have never met on my own. But here's the thing. I was being interviewed recently and I was asked what my best marketing strategy was. And this wasn't the first thing I said. It wasn't even on my list because this doesn't feel like a strategy for me. It just feels like part of what I do as a human being. And that's what we're going to talk about today. A habit I've created that feels so ordinary that I completely take it for granted. And turns out when I look back at my CRM and my database, it's the thing that generates the most business for me. And unfortunately, a lot of service businesses don't consider it at all. So today, I want to dive deep into your past clients. I want to talk about who they are, what they're worth, and an embarrassingly simple habit that will keep them connected to your business long after the project's complete. But first, let's talk about what this looks like in practice. I'm not talking about a newsletter or a drip campaign. I'm not even talking about some kind of automated sequence that sends out emails or text messages on US holidays and their birthdays. It's just me. And when a past client pops into my mind, I reach out. Now, I might have them come into my mind because I've read something that makes me think about them and the business that they're in. I'll send them a link to the thing that I read with a real quick note. Or maybe I'm working on a project that reminds me of the time that I was working with them through the same problem, and I'll drop them a quick message. Or maybe it's just been a little while and I want to know how things are going for them, so I ask. Now, I did this just because it's who I am as a human being. Never in any of these, typically text messages, possibly emails or phone calls. I never had an agenda. There was never a pitch, a call to action, any of that. I was simply thinking about them and I let them know. But here's what happens, and it happens far more often than you'd expect, and certainly more often than I expected. I get a text back that's, oh my gosh, perfect timing. I was just about to reach out. Or I just talked to a friend last night about you. They really need your help. Can I connect the two of you? The timing is almost always great because when you stay top of mind with people who already trust you, chances are you're going to show up at the exact right moment that they need to remember that you're still around. And I do this so often and so naturally that when I was in the interview and I was asked to name my top marketing strategy, I talked about content, visibility, messaging, all things that I believe in, all things that do great for my business. But when I looked at where most of my past business has come from in the last 5 years, it was this tiny little habit of staying in touch with past clients that generated more revenue for my business than any other campaign I've ever run. More business than Google searches, more business than my podcast or my blog. I just never thought about it as a strategy because to me, it never felt like one. So, what I want to talk to you today about is how to make this a habit yourself. And I find that when I'm trying to start a new habit, it helps me when I understand the why behind the habit in the first place. So, let me talk to you about psychology. When someone is looking to hire you the first time, you have to go through a process of building trust from nothing. First, they find you, then they research you, they compare you to your competition, and they ask themselves whether or not you're the right fit for them. At that point, if all the boxes get checked, they take a leap. But that process takes time and energy on their part, but it also takes time and energy on your part to earn that trust, whether it's discovery calls, client meetings, or just all the time and energy you've spent on your social media or your own blog post, or your website. But once they've worked with you and they've had that amazing experience, now they've trusted you. All of that work that it took to go from zero to trust is already done. They know you do great work. They know how you communicate, and they know what working with you feels like on an emotional level. The trust has been built. It's solid. So when a new need comes up for them, or when a friend mentions that they're going through a similar situation in their business or their life, the path from I should do something about this to I'll call this person is tremendously shorter for a past client than it is for a stranger. It's also incredibly shorter when someone refers you, gives you like a raving referral to a friend or a colleague of theirs. But here's the problem. Most businesses treat the end of a project as the end of the relationship. You send out the final invoice, the project closes, and you move on to the next client, the next fire, the next thing. And the past client, who already trusts you, who had an amazing experience, who would have sent you business without hesitation if they'd just been given a reason to think of you again, they go completely quiet. Not because they don't want to stay connected, but you never gave them a reason to stay connected. And guys, this is an important point. Your monthly newsletter is not a reason to stay connected with you. So let's talk about why more service businesses don't stay in touch with their past clients. There are a few reasons, and I'm going to talk about them honestly because recognizing the problem is at least half the battle. First, most service businesses are already busy, right? Whether you're on the sales team or the owner, you're running the business. You have active clients, live projects, real fires that need to be put out. And reaching out to someone who isn't a current client, who isn't a new lead, who isn't a squeaky wheel, it just doesn't feel urgent. So you keep putting it on the do it tomorrow list. Number two, it can feel a little awkward. A lot of people feel strange reaching out to a past client when they have no reason. It feels like you're showing up uninvited at someone's front door. A little bit like you want something, but you're not going to ask for the thing that you want. But here's what I want you to think about. Staying in touch isn't like showing up uninvited. It's just cultivating a relationship that already exists. Because we know whether it's business relationships or personal relationships, they they're not going to thrive if you just ignore them. Relationships take work, whether it's personal or business. So staying in touch is just putting in the work. It's watering the flowers, it's pulling the weeds. And a lot of you probably don't feel strange checking in on a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, but you feel really uncomfortable checking in on a past client. It's not different. You did meaningful work for this person, and the relationship shouldn't end just because the project did. The third reason that people don't reach out is because there's no system in place. And again, I'm not talking about an email drip campaign. It's just they don't have any reminder set. They don't have a list of past clients that they look at. They don't have any cadence set up in their heads. Now, people who do this well, and I sort of fumbled into the doing it well group, have made it a habit rather than something that goes on their to-do list. It lives in their rhythm, not in a, spreadsheet. But building the habit is super important. Building a perfect system is not what's important. So here's what I would suggest as someone who has realized the power of this habit. First, make a list of past clients that you would love to work with again. This is not all of your past clients. These are the ones that you really clicked with, you had a great relationship with. These are going to be the top of the best, the cream of the crop, ones that you want to clone and work with on a regular basis. Now, think about when you last reached out to each of the people on this list. Not to send an invoice or a newsletter or some kind of a mass email for a special or whatever that you had going on. And not because you were asking them for something. When was the last time you reached out just to see how they were doing? If you can't remember, that's a great place to start. Pick one person from the list this week and send them a message. It can be short, must be genuine, and can't have an agenda attached. Something as simple as, hey, I was thinking about you and the work we did together, and I wanted to see how things were going. That's it. That's the whole thing for this week. You're not asking for a referral. You're not pitching a new service. You're just checking in on someone who you had a great relationship and letting them know that you're still here. If you reach out to one person a week, and I mean, let's be honest, we could reach out to one person a day, but if we're starting out, one person a week, do it consistently. Rotate through all of your best past clients and watch what happens. If you build this habit well enough, next year at this time, you'll probably be taking it for granted. All the sales that come in, and it won't feel like something on your to-do list. You won't have to keep checking a list. It will just feel easy. Here's what I've come to believe about staying in touch with past clients. It's not about marketing. These are people who trusted you with something real and important in their lives or their businesses. Could have been a project, a business decision, an investment. And staying connected to them, not because you need something from them, but because you care about them and how things are working out in their lives, is just being the kind of person and the kind of business that is worth recommending. And the revenue will follow. It always does. but that shouldn't be the reason why you're doing it. It's best if you do it because the relationship was real, because it was so good. And real relationships don't need to end when the project does. Now, if you would like some help building a client re-engagement strategy that fits your own unique personality, your business, and the way you work, that is exactly the kind of thing that we love to do at Limitless Impact Agency. We can map out some broad strokes in a free strategy session. All you have to do is pick a time that works for you on my calendar by using the link in the show notes or visiting limitlessimpactagency.com. And before you do anything else this week, pick one client, the first one that comes to mind, and send them a quick text. No agenda, just, I was thinking about you, and see what happens. If something landed for you today, I would be so appreciative if you'd share this episode with one person in your world who needs to hear it, because that's how this show will grow. And I am so grateful for every single share that is made. If you're ready to take what you learned today and put it into work to grow your business, I would absolutely love to talk to you. You can use the link in the show notes or visit limitlessimpactagency.com to schedule your free strategy session. We'll figure out exactly where you need to focus first. But until next week, go do something amazing.